You felt it, right? Whether you're trying to buy, sell, or just watching from the sidelines, the housing market has felt, well, frozen. For years now, it's like everyone's just staying put and inventory is locked down tighter than a drum. So, what's really behind all this?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? We've seen interest rates go up, down, all around, but the market itself, it still feels stuck, totally frozen. So what's the real story? What's causing this massive gridlock?
And for the longest time, we all thought we knew the answer. It seems so obvious, right? It was all about the lock-in effect. Millions of us, millions, locked in these insane mortgage rates. We're talking under 3% back during the pandemic. And who in their right mind would give that up? To sell your house only to get a new mortgage that's double, maybe even triple that rate? No way. That was the story, the only story.
Okay, but here's where things get interesting. What if that story, as true as it was, is starting to get old? What if its power is fading and we're actually entering a whole new chapter for housing, one that's being driven by something completely different? Well, that's exactly what Mike Simonsen, the chief economist over at Compass, is saying. He's been deep in the data, and his take is pretty bold. He's not saying the lock-in effect isn't real. It is, but he says its grip is loosening, and by staying so focused on it, we're missing the real story playing out right under our noses. And he's got this one single stat that kind of changes the whole game. Think about it. It's been 4 years since those crazy low rates. In that time, life happens, right? People have had to move, they've bought new homes for all sorts of reasons. And the result has been this quiet but massive shift in what the mortgage market actually looks like today. And here it is. For the first time, there are now more homeowners with a mortgage rate over 6% than there are with a rate under 3%. Just let that sink in for a second. The whole group of people we thought were locked in forever, they're not the majority anymore. Not even close. The entire calculus of the market is shifting. So let's be clear, the lock-in effect isn't totally gone, but its power is definitely fading, and it's weakening more and more every single day as people buy homes at today's rates, which can only mean one thing. If that's not the main reason, there has to be something else keeping the market this tight. And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If it's not just about those golden handcuffs of a 3% mortgage, then what is holding everyone back? What's the big hidden reason the market is still frozen?
Well, according to Simonsen, the answer has less to do with your mortgage and everything to do with your job. He's coined a term for it, the Great Stay, and it completely reframes this entire conversation.
So here's the big idea behind the Great Stay. It's not just that people are clinging to their low mortgage rates, they're clinging to their jobs. There's this low confidence, this worry that if you move, you won't be able to find another good job. And that fear is pumping the brakes on everything, hitting both the job market and the housing market at the exact same time. And this is where it gets a little weird, because we keep hearing about how low unemployment is, which should be great news. But if you look closer, the actual hiring rate, the number of people getting new jobs, has slowed down to a crawl. We're talking recession-level slowdowns. So yeah, most people have a job, but they're not moving around. They're not getting new jobs. Simonsen explains it perfectly. He says, look, maybe you'd love to move to Phoenix or Denver. Maybe the house prices are looking good. But if you're thinking, man, I'm worried about finding a new job there, you're just not going to go. You're staying right where you are. And this isn't just a theory or a gut feeling. The proof is actually in the data. When you start looking at different parts of the country, it turns out there are basically two completely different housing markets happening in the US at the same time. Just look at this. It's wild. In places like the Midwest and the Northeast, houses are flying off the market and inventory is super, super tight. But then you look at the Sun Belt, the places everyone was moving to a couple years ago, and the market there is actually slowing down. Now, the old rate lock-in theory, it just can't explain that difference. But the Great Stay theory, it can. So that makes you wonder, right? Why are markets like Chicago and Milwaukee suddenly so hot? If people aren't flocking there in huge numbers, why are they so competitive? It kind of flies in the face of what we'd expect. And here's the answer. It's the Midwest mystery solved. It's not about a flood of people moving in. It's about the usual stream of people moving out, drying up to a trickle. The folks who might have left for a job in the Sun Belt are now staying put thanks to that job uncertainty. That means fewer houses go up for sale, and bam, all of a sudden you've got a crazy tight market and prices are feeling the pressure again. All right, so with all this new info, what does it mean for the future? Where are we headed? Let's take a look at the forecast for 2026, based on this whole Great Stay idea.
The forecast for home sales growth is a positive 5%. Now, that's not a boom by any stretch, but it's not a bust either. It's a sign that the market is finally starting to stabilize, a slow thaw after being frozen for so long.
And what about prices? Well, they're expected to be pretty flat, maybe slightly up. So it seems like that wild era of prices shooting up like a rocket is probably behind us. We're moving into something much more normal, more stable.
Okay, so let's boil this all down. What do you really need to remember? First, the market is finding its footing. It's stabilizing, not exploding. Second, and this is a big one, the number to watch now isn't just mortgage rates, it's hiring rates. And third, what's really going to get people moving again? It's not just lower interest rates, it's job confidence. That's the key.
And that leaves us with a final question, one for you to think about. As you're planning your next move, maybe the most important question has changed. Maybe it's not just, can I afford the house anymore? Maybe now it's, can I find the job? That could be the one thing that decides whether you move or whether you become part of the great stay.